Never wake up to pee at night again. 6 habits seniors must know. What if I told you that getting up to pee at night could be silently stealing years off your life, draining your memory, and even putting you in danger every single night? I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me, because I've met too many older adults who accept these nightly bathroom trips as just part of getting older, never realizing how deeply it can damage their sleep, their brain, and their sense of independence. You see, every time you crawl out of bed in the dark, your body is robbed of precious deep sleep, the kind of sleep that repairs your heart, keeps your mind sharp, and helps you stand steady on your own 2 feet. Over time, this constant interruption doesn't just make you feel tired. It can slowly chip away at your balance, raise your blood pressure, and even increase the risk of falls that could change your life in an instant. I've watched friends and patients grow fearful of the night, worried they might trip in the hallway or lose their footing on a cold bathroom floor. And still, they believe they have no choice but to live with it. But here's the truth that hardly anyone talks about. You can fight back. And you don't need expensive pills or surgeries to do it. You only need to understand a few simple habits rooted in science that can transform your nights and quite possibly save your life. So if you've ever felt defeated by these endless 2 a.m. bathroom runs, I want you to know there is hope and there is a path forward. Before we begin, please take a second to subscribe to this channel so we can keep creating honest, practical health stories that matter to you. Let me leave you with one small question to reflect on. A, I'm willing to change my habits to protect my sleep. B, I'll just keep coping even if I lose rest. Comment your answer below A or B, and let's see how many of us are ready to reclaim our nights. Now let's dive into the first real solution you can try tonight. When I first began talking to people about nighttime urination, one truth kept surfacing over and over. Most of us never think about how a simple evening habit can decide whether we sleep in peace or spend the night stumbling to the bathroom. That's why tonight, I want to guide you through one of the gentlest, most powerful changes you can make: an evening bladder calming routine. It may sound simple, but please hear me out. Because how you treat your body in those final hours before bed sets the entire stage for whether your bladder rests or revolts. For years, I watched older friends and patients unknowingly sabotage themselves by keeping a cup of herbal tea or a glass of wine on their nightstand, sipping it right before bed to feel cozy and relaxed. They meant well, but no one told them that their kidneys don't pause when they sleep. In fact, as we age, our kidneys may even produce more urine at night. So that warm cup of tea, comforting as it feels, becomes a ticket to a 2 a.m. bathroom trip. I remember a man named Richard who lived alone in Ohio. Each night he would sit with the evening news and a small glass of wine, thinking it helped him wind down. But within hours, his bladder woke him like clockwork, and the shuffle down the dark hallway left him frightened of falling. It broke my heart to hear how exhausted he was. Together, we decided to change his evening rhythm. I encouraged him to get most of his hydration by mid-afternoon, then cut back sharply after dinner. I also urged him to swap the wine for a warm book and a softer light. Within 3 nights, Richard called me amazed. He had only woken up once, and after 2 weeks, he had nights where he slept through without waking at all. It was as if his body finally sighed in relief, allowed to rest undisturbed. It still amazes me that something as tiny as shifting when you drink can change how you move through the night. I want you to carry this with you. Your bladder is not just a container. It is a living, reactive organ, responding to your habits and the messages you send it. When you honor its rhythms by drinking smarter, easing up on caffeine and alcohol, and giving it a quiet hour to settle before sleep, you honor your own rest too. You offer yourself a simple, priceless gift, a night of peace. And there is no medication in the world that feels as healing as that. As I continued listening to people's stories about these nightly battles with their bladders, I started noticing another pattern, one that was hiding in plain sight. So many of us think that the bladder is the only part of our body to blame. But we forget the team of muscles working quietly underneath, holding everything together. That team is called the pelvic floor, and its power is far greater than most people ever realize. That's why I believe strengthening your pelvic floor deserves its own spotlight, separate from any other fix. Because these muscles act like a strong hammock, supporting the bladder, the bowels, and for women, the uterus. When they weaken, the entire system can wobble, leaving you with sudden urges that wake you up, even if your bladder isn't truly full. I first learned about the hidden power of these muscles from a woman named Eleanor, who was 81 and living in Florida. She described to me how helpless she felt, waking up night after night to an overwhelming urge to pee, terrified she might not make it in time. The anxiety was stealing her sleep even more than the bladder itself. After one conversation, I asked her to try something surprisingly simple: Kegel exercises. Many people laugh when they hear that word, thinking it's only for pregnant women or younger people. But the truth is, Kegels are a gift for anyone who wants to protect their independence. I explained to Eleanor that these exercises were like gently waking up muscles that had been asleep for years. She learned to slowly tighten those muscles, the same ones you'd use to stop your stream mid-flow, and hold that gentle squeeze for 5 seconds, then let it go. No strain, no pain, just mindful practice. We set a goal together, 10 repetitions 3 times a day. Eleanor, being so determined, put small sticky notes on her bathroom mirror and refrigerator to remind herself. What amazed her, and honestly even amazed me, was how her body began to respond within weeks. She told me almost in disbelief that she'd made it through the night without a single trip to the bathroom. She'd woken up rested for the first time in years. The fear that had haunted her at night was finally lifting all because she reconnected with a part of herself she'd forgotten. That is what makes me passionate about sharing this with you. These pelvic floor muscles might feel like a mystery, but they are your allies. They don't care if you're 65 or 85, they will respond if you invite them to train again. So think of Kegels not as a chore, but as a quiet promise you make to your own strength and confidence. A small daily ritual to reclaim calm nights and peaceful sleep. Because you deserve to trust your body again. And that trust, once rebuilt, can change everything. The more I spoke with people about their long, restless nights, the more I realized that timing, not just quantity, was sabotaging their peace. It's easy to blame the bladder for waking us up, but few people ever stop to wonder whether they're unintentionally setting themselves up for these nighttime struggles. That's why I want to shine a light on the art of smart fluid timing, something I call front-loading hydration. It may sound technical, but it's really about being kind to your body, on its own natural clock. Most of us were raised to think, drink plenty of water, which is absolutely true, but no one ever explained when to drink it. I met countless people who would barely drink water through the day, distracted or too busy, and then suddenly gulp down glasses in the evening to catch up. That pattern might feel harmless, but it works directly against the way your kidneys function overnight. As we grow older, our kidneys can become more active while we sleep, continuing to produce urine even when the rest of our body is trying to rest. So, if you load your system with a flood of water after dinner, your bladder simply can't hold all that through the night. Frank, a 74-year-old retired truck driver from Texas, comes to mind whenever I think about this. He thought he was doing the right thing by drinking a tall glass of water before bed, convinced it would help his blood pressure. But every night around 2 or 3 a.m., he'd wake up desperate to go. We sat down together and reshaped his routine. Instead of hydrating late at night, he started each day with a full glass of water after waking up, then drank steadily through breakfast, lunch, and early afternoon. By evening, he would sip just enough to feel comfortable without overwhelming his system. Within days, Frank was sleeping deeper. He was amazed by how something so small made such a powerful difference. He told me that for the first time in years, he woke up feeling fully rested, with no fear of stumbling down the hallway in the dark. It reminded me just how beautifully our bodies can cooperate once we learn to work with them, not against them. I want you to remember that front-loading your hydration doesn't mean depriving yourself. It simply means respecting your body's rhythm, giving it what it needs earlier so it can settle down and let you rest. By honoring that timing, you're not just protecting your sleep, you're protecting your independence, your safety, and even your confidence. And that confidence is something you deserve to feel every single morning. As I continued exploring these nighttime struggles with so many older friends, there was one lesson that kept echoing back to me. It isn't enough to simply calm your bladder for one night. We need to build a foundation that keeps supporting us night after night. That's why I want to dive deeper into the idea of truly rebuilding pelvic floor strength beyond just a few quick Kegel squeezes, because these small hidden muscles carry a power that can change your life if you give them the chance. For decades, many people, especially those in their 70s and 80s, have quietly lost touch with this part of their body. Sometimes it happens after childbirth or from years of sitting too much, or just the natural weakening that comes with age. But even if these muscles have grown sleepy, they can absolutely wake up again. And when they do, they can help you sleep peacefully in ways you might never have thought possible. I remember Susan, 81, from California. She told me how discouraged she felt running to the bathroom 2, 3, sometimes even 4 times every night. It had become so predictable that she stopped inviting her grandchildren to sleep over, worried they might hear her shuffling around in the dark. Her confidence was slipping away. When we spoke, I suggested she think about rebuilding her pelvic floor as a project of daily awareness. Not only formal Kegels, but also the way she stood, the way she moved, the way she breathed. Each morning, Susan practiced gentle belly breathing, letting her abdomen expand, then softly engaging her pelvic floor on each exhale. During the day, she paid attention to her posture, choosing to sit upright rather than slumped over. She even practiced standing on one leg for a few seconds to activate her stabilizer muscles finding playful moments to reconnect with her balance. It was simple, but powerful. After about 6 weeks, Susan called me with tears in her voice. She said she had made it through the entire night without getting up even once. The pride she felt was something I wish I could bottle and give to every older adult who has given up hope. What I want you to see is that these muscles aren't gone. They're just waiting for your attention. Rebuilding them takes consistency, patience, and a sense of kindness toward yourself. But those small daily choices, the mindful breathing, the posture, the balance, can weave together to restore the security you thought you had lost. In the end, the greatest reward is more than just fewer bathroom trips. It's the quiet confidence of knowing your own body can stand with you strong and steady through the night. As I kept listening to people talk about their struggles with nighttime urination, I began to notice something subtle, something most of us never question: how the very light in our homes might be working against us. I know it sounds surprising, but your bladder does not act alone. It listens to your brain, which is guided by your body's natural clock. This clock depends on a delicate dance of hormones, including melatonin, that tell you when to rest and when to stay alert. Yet every evening we flood our homes with bright overhead lights, glowing phone screens, and television glare. Without meaning to, we trick our brains into believing it is still daytime. I remember hearing from Richard again after he had already adjusted his hydration habits. Even though he was drinking smarter, he still woke up in the night. We looked closer at his evenings and realized his home was blazing with bright white light until nearly bedtime. Once he swapped out harsh bulbs for warm, soft lamps and started turning off his screens at least an hour before sleep. Something changed. He described how much more peaceful it felt, how his body seemed to recognize night again. That is the power of honoring your circadian rhythm, the natural schedule built into you since the day you were born. When you dim the lights after sunset, you gently encourage your brain to release melatonin, and that signals your bladder to quiet down too. It is not about forcing sleep. It is about allowing your body to remember what nighttime should feel like. A simple change of light, a commitment to softer evenings can ripple through your entire system, calming your nerves and your bladder alike. And that might be the most overlooked, yet most healing habit of all. Tension, I've come to see, is one of the most silent thieves of peaceful sleep. Long after we've managed our drinking habits and dimmed our lights, our minds can stay wound up, replaying worries and to-do lists in an endless loop. What many people don't realize is that your bladder listens to those racing thoughts too. When your nervous system remains on high alert at bedtime, your bladder can misread that tension as urgency, even if it's barely holding much at all. I think of Judy, a 76-year-old grandmother from California who dreaded going to bed because she felt constantly on edge. Every night seemed like a battle, no matter how carefully she managed her drinking. We talked about giving her body a new ritual, one that signaled safety instead of stress. She began taking 10 quiet minutes each night to slow her breathing, soften her shoulders, and listen to calming music rather than the news. Within 2 weeks, Judy's bladder seemed to calm, right along with her allowing her to sleep with fewer interruptions and sometimes make it through the night without waking up at all. That is the power of retraining your bladder's sensitivity. It isn't magic or luck. It's a daily message to your own nervous system that the night is a place of rest, not worry. You don't need complex techniques or expensive tools. You only need consistency and a gentle willingness to remind yourself night after night that you are safe to let go. This simple habit can be as powerful as any prescription. When you teach your bladder and your mind to settle together, you open the door to nights of peaceful sleep that you may have believed were gone forever. Looking back at these 6 simple habits, I hope you can see something much bigger than just fixing a nighttime problem. Each change, whether it's adjusting your evening routine, strengthening your pelvic floor, timing your water intake wisely, or simply softening your breath before bed, is about reclaiming a sense of ownership over your own body. Aging does not mean giving up. It does not mean surrendering to sleepless nights or endless 2 a.m. bathroom trips. It means learning once again how to listen to the signals your body sends and how to respond with compassion instead of frustration. I have met so many older adults who believed their restless nights were a life sentence, a punishment they had no choice but to endure. But when they tried even one of these habits, something shifted. They discovered a part of themselves that still held power, still held dignity, still deserved peace. That realization to me is more important than any single night of unbroken sleep. It is about hope. It is about refusing to let fear or fatigue define the rest of your story. If you remember only one thing from this conversation, let it be this: your bladder is not your enemy. It is trying to help you, even if the messages get tangled sometimes. When you work with it by changing small daily patterns, you can build trust in your own body again, one night at a time. That trust will ripple through everything you do, giving you more confidence, better mornings, and a stronger sense of calm. Here's a simple question I'd love you to answer in the comments. Which of these 6 habits do you feel most ready to try tonight? Please type your answer politely below so others can see what resonates with you too. And if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel and maybe even making a small donation so we can keep bringing you honest, heartfelt health stories like this. Your support means the world, and it helps us keep going for everyone who needs this message.